Bonjour and welcome to our video on how to travel to Paris on a budget. If you are dreaming of a trip to the City of Light but worried about breaking the bank, then you've come to the right place. In this video, we will give you tips and tricks on how to experience Paris without spending a fortune. From the must-see sites to the best food spots, we've got you covered. Question 1. What to do in Paris on a budget? Paris is known for its romantic atmosphere, world-class museums, and iconic landmarks. But you don't have to spend a lot to enjoy the city. Here are some budget-friendly things to do in Paris. 1. Visit the free museums like the Louvre on the first Sunday of the month. 2. Take a walk along the Seine River and enjoy the view of Notre-Dame. 3. Stroll through the famous Montmartre neighborhood and see the Sacré-Cœur Basilica. 4. Have a picnic in one of the many parks like Jardin du Luxembourg or Parc des Buttes-Chaumont. 5. Explore the colorful street art in the 13th arrondissement. 6. Window shop along the Champs-Élysées. 7. Visit the free public library Bibliothèque Nationale de France. Question 2. How much should I budget for a trip to Paris? The cost of a trip to Paris depends on many factors like where you are coming from, how long you plan to stay, and what activities you want to do. But on average, a 5-day trip to Paris for 2 people could cost around $2,500 to $3,500. This includes airfare, accommodation, food, transportation, and sightseeing. Question 3. What months are cheapest to go to Paris? The cheapest months to go to Paris are usually from November to March, except for the holiday season. During these months, airfare and accommodation prices are lower, and there are fewer tourists. However, be prepared for colder temperatures and shorter daylight hours. Question 4. Paris travel tips. Here are some tips to make your Paris trip smooth and budget-friendly. 1. Book your accommodation and flights in advance for the best deals. 2. Use public transportation like the metro or buses instead of taxis. 3. Avoid eating near tourist hotspots and instead look for local eateries. 4. Purchase a Paris pass to save money on attractions and transportation. 5. Bring a refillable water bottle to save money on drinks. 6. Learn a few basic French phrases to communicate with locals. Question 5. Best Paris travel guide. There are many great travel guides to Paris, but one of the best is Rick Steves' Paris 2023. This guidebook is budget-friendly, informative, and packed with insider tips on the city's sights, culture, and food. Question 6. Paris trip budget. Philippines. If you're coming from the Philippines, the cost of a Paris trip will depend on many factors like the time of year, airline, and accommodation. But on average, a 5-day trip to Paris for 2 people could cost around 100,000 Philippine pesos to 150,000 Philippine pesos. To save money, you can look for budget airlines, stay in hostels or Airbnb, and eat at local markets and street vendors. Question 7. Paris on a budget this year. If you're planning to visit Paris in this year, you can expect the prices to be similar to the previous years. To keep your trip budget-friendly, you can follow the tips we've mentioned earlier, like visiting during the off-season, using public transportation, and finding cheap eats. Question 8. Paris on a budget. Food. Paris is famous for its cuisine, but dining out can be expensive. To save money on food in Paris, here are some tips. 1. Look for local markets like Marché Bastille or Marché de Ligre, where you can buy fresh produce, cheese, and bread for a picnic or to cook at your accommodation. 2. Avoid restaurants near tourist spots and instead look for small, family-owned restaurants or cafes in less touristy areas. 3. Try street food like crepes or falafel, which are delicious and affordable. 4. If you want to eat at a fancy restaurant, consider going for lunch instead of dinner, as they often have cheaper menus. Question 9. How much does it cost to go to Paris for 3 days? If you're planning a short trip to Paris, you can still experience the city's beauty and charm on a budget. For a 3-day trip for 2 people, you could expect to spend around $1,500 to $2,000. This includes accommodation, food, transportation, and sightseeing. Conclusion. That's a wrap on our tips for traveling to Paris on a budget. Remember, you don't have to spend a fortune to enjoy the city's charm and beauty. By following our tips and tricks, you can have an amazing Parisian experience without breaking the bank. Bon voyage!